All right, let's keep going. For when I came here, I saw ungodly deeds without number, and my soul has seen many sinners during these 30 years, and my heart failed me. For I have seen how thou dost endure those who sin, and hast spared those who act wickedly, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thy enemies, and hast not shown to any one how thy way may be comprehended. Are the deeds of Babylon better than those of Zion? Or has another nation known thee beside Israel? Or what tribes have so believed thy covenants as these tribes of Jacob? Yet their reward has not appeared, and their labor has borne no fruit. For I have traveled widely among the nations, and have seen that they abound in wealth, though they are unmindful of thy commandments. Now therefore weigh and balance our iniquities and those of the inhabitants of the world, so it will be found which way the turn of the scale will incline. When have the inhabitants of the earth not sinned in thy sight? Or what nation has kept thy commandments so well? Thou mayest indeed find individual men who have kept thy commandments, but nations thou wilt not find. All right. So, again, this is talking really about the Phoenician way, right? Because I mean, the Phoenician way is to really just like manipulate the population to into slavery, right? They enslave themselves with a false idea of love, um, and they're led into bondage. And of course, like if you're working all the time, you're going to be successful. Um, I mean, we see this in really the Protestant Reformation, right? Because if we look at the Prussians would manipulate their populations into becoming these virtuous worker drones, right? And they had to really manipulate the populations in order to do this. It's just not natural. And so, of course, these Protestant nations are going to be successful in the short run. But look at them nowadays. They're all dying. They've got success. They've got wealth. But they don't. Um, they're literally dying tribes because they've put success and wealth above everything else. Again, this has to do with holiness. These writers of the Torah are about living a more whole life. And so, he's contrasting. It's like I mean, wicked ways are can be very successful. If you're working all day, then you're going to be able to acquire a lot of things, right? But you lack personal growth, and you lack friends, and you lack family. The family that you have are going to be false to your face. Um, because other people are more like objects, really, in this type of world. Um, and if people are objects, then friendship has no depth, and family has no depth. Um, it's all about the appearance of success, right? And so he he used to look at all this and really question his God. Um, I think before he recognized what true success is. right? Because they abound in wealth, but they don't abound in love, right? Because this is a false love that these other nations are leading. A false love, a false God. Then the angel that had been sent to me, whose name was Uriel, answered and said to me, "Your understanding has utterly failed regarding this world, and do you think you can comprehend the way of the Most High?" Then I said, "Yes, my Lord." And he, um, that's good right there. um, I like that because, I mean, when most people think about if they ever were around an angel, how would you behave if an angel was in front of you? And how's he behaving? He's behaving with confidence. "Yes, my lord, I can understand." He's not getting down on his knees and putting his head to the floor. This is a different type. These divine creatures are more human-like, rather than these august beings that you have to bow down and worship to for the sake of their own insecurities. Um, "Yes, my lord." And he replied to me, "I have been sent to show you three ways, and to put before you three problems. If you can solve one of them for me, I will also show you the way you desire to see, and will teach you why the heart is evil." Right. So again, these people on the previous page are wealthy, but they lack heart. They're well, and we can see this in stories, today, where the rich guy might have all the riches, but he wants heart, and he wants family, and he wants love. I said, "Speak on, my lord." And I love that line, "Speak on, my lord," right? Because when God or the angels speak in these verses, they're very vague, right? And what's this angel doing right now other than being a braggart, right? "I'm gonna put for you three problems and see if you can solve them, bitch." Right? So this angel's being this little braggart that's really not saying anything. He's setting you up for some anticipation and some excitement. And Ezra's response is very impious. He's like, "What? Just shut up and tell me." But he says, "Speak on, my lord." And he said to me, "Go weigh for me the weight of fire, or measure for me the measure of wind, or call back for me the day that is past." All right. Well, one of the problems that I'm seeing right now is that, again, this is a time thing, right? Well, back in the day, this is before the scientific revolution. Although I think there was a lot of science, and that really gets into what's his name? That guy's funny. The guy who got taken up into a chariot and supposedly never died, right? That guy was very sciencey, but he hid his science. Anyways, like nowadays we might hear this line and say, "Well, let's weigh fire. Like, we can do that. Like, scientifically speaking, let's fucking weigh it. Shit." But the listeners of the past, to them, this would be unfathomable to measure fire or measure the wind. Right, nowadays, we can measure the wind. But call for me the day that is past. That's another thing, right? I mean, here he's speaking of of the past as a dead thing, and to recall the past. I mean, there's the Rashomon effect, right? To recall the past is such a difficult thing to do accurately. And he said to me, if I had asked you how many dwellings are in the heart of the sea, or how many streams are at the source of the deep, or how many streams are above the firmament, or which are the exits of hell, or which are the entrances of paradise? So again, how many dwellings in the heart of the sea? That's a scientific question that can actually be answered nowadays. It would be extremely difficult to get an accurate number, but scientists could ask themselves this question: how many dwellings are in the heart of the sea? I mean, what is a dwelling in the heart of the sea, right? I mean, fish have homes, right? Sometimes. Some fish probably don't. Some fish do. But to those who don't, I mean, they're like, I don't know, nomadic, I guess. Anyways. But these are unfathomable questions. Especially these exits of hell and entrances of paradise. Perhaps you would have said to me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into hell. Neither did I ever ascend into heaven. But now I have asked you only about fire and wind and the day, things through which you have passed and without which you cannot exist, and you have given me no answer about them. Okay, this is pretty cool, because again, when I started reading this, I'm like, yeah, no, we can measure the fire, we can measure the wind, but memory is a different thing. Yeah, we can measure the dwellings, we can measure the streams, but the exits of hell and the entrance of paradise, that's a different thing. Right, so I was caught up in this, yeah, you know, I can do this. And just like he said, I never went down into deep, nor into hell. But he's only asking about the fire and the wind and the day, things through which you have passed and without which you cannot exist, and you have given me no answer about them. And he said to me, you cannot understand the way of the Most High, and how one who is already worn out by the corrupt world understand incorruption. When I heard this, I fell on my face and said to him, it would be better for us not to be here than to come here and live in ungodliness and suffer and not understand why. He answered me and said, I went into a forest. Alright, let's go back. He answered me. That's not really an answer. So God is already worn out by the corrupt world. Right. And after the angel said this, that's when Ezra fell on his face. Because it's like all these feelings that Ezra was feeling. You know, all this agitation of heart. When he questioned his God, and he's like, who are you, bitch? And he had this crisis, he had this doubt within him towards his God, although he doesn't portray that in the text, but that's clearly what's going on, because he's writing to fool impious, or no, to fool pious people, because he is a pious man, but he's a man who's gained wisdom and understanding, and it's like, who are you to judge God? Like, sometimes the way, like, if you see the face of God, you might be shocked and what's the word? Scandalized when you see the actual real God rather than this simple puritanical notion of God. If you understand that the real God is innocence, like a child, then all of your serious adultness is going to be silly. Um, so, anyways, yeah, no, he's a man. Let's see, where am I? So God Himself is feeling these same feelings. God Himself is agitated at heart for how we treat each other. And when Ezra found this out, he fell on his face. That's when he fell on his face, not before. Because many people approach God and they fall on their face before they understand Him, and that's not what this Salathiel guy did. This Salathiel guy is like, who the fuck are you, bitch? Like Judgment Day is reversed. Who are you? And this is a man who dares to judge his God. And for his God, this is a God that gets excited when his creation judges him. Because this is a God that wants a real intimate relationship. Not something that's superficial. He doesn't. Ezra's God is not a God that wants a superficial relationship, like all the superficial relationships of this Phoenician world that is materialistic. No, this is a God that wants a real, authentic relationship. And so I think that this is there. This like he's telling us his spiritual journey. And all, like, that's one of the cool things about the Torah is that each of these writers have their own spiritual journey. Because they, like, personality wise, they're different personalities. So these are different personalities. These are different characters with different drives within them. You know, Moses has this drive of, just kick ass and go out there and get it done. Well, Samuel is more of the gentle man. He's gentle and he's chill. Samuel is more of the man that you would think has the type of religiousness. When you think of a religious person, you don't think of the Moseses of the world as being religious, because he can get done, he's gonna kick ass. And so these are all different personalities, and I think this Ezra person right now in this text is telling us his own personal journey. I think there's a lot going on in the text, but this is just one of the things definitely that's going on, is he's telling us who he was. Like he was this type of person, and he's like, who is this God? Who the fuck is this guy? And what does the angel say? The angel says, God himself is agitated at how we treat each other. And when he found out that his God was human rather than august, when his God also was agitated just like he was, that's when he fell on his face. And not before. Because if you fall on your face before, then you are violating the first law. And you are not loving God with a whole heart if you do not question him. But yeah, no, I think this is his spiritual journey right here. Okay, let's get to this answer. I went into a forest of trees of the plain, and they made a plan and said, "Come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may recede before us, and that we may make for ourselves more forests." And in like manner the waves of the sea also made a plan, and said, "Come, let us go up and subdue the forest of the plain, so that there also we may gain more territory for ourselves." But the plan of the forest was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. Likewise the plan of the waves of the sea, for the sand stood firm and stopped them. If now you were to judge between them, which would you undertake to justify and which to condemn? Okay, so this is what I mean about the Bible being boring, you know. Um, like right here, when he says, "I went into a forest of trees of the plain," right? So this right here, this of the plain, that's kind of unnecessary, you know. Again, like a lot of the Bible language is very condensed speech sometimes. But this is not condensed at all. This is flowery. Trees of the plain, right? Um, and usually the flowery language is more reserved for God and the angels sometimes in these texts. Doo, doo, doo. So I mean, what I'm saying is they're capable of writing differently, but they purposely choose to write in the way that they do. And I answered and I said, "Each has made a foolish plan, for the land is assigned to the forest, and the sea is assigned to the place to carry its waves." He answered me and said, "You have judged rightly, but why have you not judged so in your own case? For as the land is assigned to the forest and the sea to its waves, so also those who dwell upon earth can only understand what is on earth, and he who is above the heavens can only understand what is above the height of the heavens." Okay, well, I don't know what's going on here, but one thing I can say is that um, for those who dwell upon earth can only understand what is on the earth. So, I mean, what's being said right here is that these people who are being materialistic and successful, right? These people who are being materialistic and successful are materialistic and successful, right? Um, and they're doing what is right according to their understanding, right? Um, but their understanding is obviously wrong because there's more than just things, right? There's this movie, and that's a play also called Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and it's a good little movie. I want to see the play, but like in the movie, at one point in time, the father's just like, hey, I provided for you. I gave you everything that you ever needed. Why don't you love me back? And they're in the basement and they're surrounded by all this stuff, that hoarded stuff. And he just starts trashing it all. And he's like, things, things, things. But you never gave me love. Where? Um, I mean, that's basically, I think, what's going on here, right? That for the heavens, love is more rich than things are. So I think, um, if you are of the understanding that riches are the goal of life, then you are like these forests, and you are like the sea, making foolish plans, because you're acquiring a wealth that will be lost to you one day. Then I answered and I said, I beseech you, my Lord, have I endowed why have I been endowed with the power of understanding? For I did not wish to inquire about the ways above, but about those things which we daily experience. Why Israel has been given over to the Gentiles as a reproach. Why the people whom you loved has been given over to godless tribes, and the law of our fathers has been made of no effect, and the written covenants no longer exist, and why we pass from the world like locusts, and our life is like a mist, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. But what will he do for his name, by which we are called? It is about these things that I have asked. Okay, I like this, because again, he's being very impious to this angel. I mean, he's basically like saying, hey, bitch, you're not talking to me. You're just like, you know, doing all these story shit, and you're not directly answering my question. He answered me and said, if you are alive, you will see, and if you live long, you will often marvel, because the age is hastening will swiftly to its end. For it will not be able to bring the things that have been promised to the righteous in their appointed times, because this age is full of sadness and infirmities. For the evil about which you ask me has been sown, but the harvest of it has not yet come. If therefore that which has been sown is not reaped, and if the place where the evil has been sown does not pass away, the field where the good has been sown will not come. Okay, let's see here. For the evil about which you ask me has been sown, but the harvest has not yet come. If therefore that which has been sown is not reaped, and if the place where the evil has been sown does not pass away, the field where the good has been sown will not come. For a grain of evil seed was sown in Adam's heart from the beginning, and how much ungodliness it has produced until now, and will produce until the time of threshing comes. Consider now for yourself how much fruit of ungodliness a grain of evil seed has produced. When the heads of grain without number are sown, how great a threshing floor will they fill? Okay, so what I'm seeing here is what I'm seeing here is this idea of God being a searcher of hearts, right? I mean, if we just get away from all of this poetic theology and just get down into the nitty-gritty of the everyday human psychology that you have experienced. In the world, there is this thing called a narcissist, right? But if you get into a narcissist, and if you ask, why is this particular person a narcissist, I think you could come up with different answers, right? I mean, I believe that some narcissists are a product of an injured childhood. They were neglected and or maybe abused, and so the narcissism really comes from this childhood trauma. On the other hand, there are some narcissists who are just raging, uh, self-interested, vain people. Like I think in the past, a narcissist would have been called a vain person. Um, and so this is really this constant idea of the in the Torah that God is a searcher of hearts. You don't just condemn someone because of their actions. Because if you condemn someone for just because of their actions, then you yourself will be condemned. Because not all of us are pure and great and good. And so it's not easy. It's not easy to judge an individual, let alone a whole tribe. Um, and again, I think the writers of the Torah would definitely agree with the modern legal thoughts that justice is about the individual. Oh. And um, we need to get into the everyday nitty gritty of the exact individual situation. Um, and it's not about the act itself. It's about the heart. It's about the heart, because you can be a good person that has an unrighteous heart. Like in this text as well as in the Torah, I think there's this real turn on the phrase of righteousness, because there's so many righteously good people in the world, but they're not actually righteous according to the writers of the Torah. Because righteousness has to do with the will and not the mouth or the appearance. A righteous man, according to the Torah, would not go into the streets and hold up signs. That is a bad rabbi. Righteousness is silent and cold and swift. Righteousness has to do with the will. And so in this text, like one of the things that I saw that drove me onto this text was this idea of righteousness, because I heard this quote where these good people were questioning God, and they were supposedly righteous. Why, God? Why? And but God right back again. This is a human God, not an august God, and he's just like, well, why? That's the question. Why? Why do you let it happen? Why do you let the wicked? Like, this is again, like I'm not. This is not a polemic. This is just a book club, and I'm not promoting any actions or behavior. I'm just trying to understand what these books are saying. But for these books, I mean, right? Like God gives jurisdiction to the righteous. Like, you have jurisdiction. It's like, why? God is like, why? Why are you letting it happen? You ask God that question. Why, God? Why? And God is like, I pity your groanings, you fucking whining bitches. Go out there and get it done. You've got jurisdiction. I mean, I think that's what this writer is saying, and I think that's what a lot of the writers of the Torah are saying, that righteousness has to do with the will. That righteousness is cold and silent and swift.